All right. Well, now that we got caught up on what's going on, we're going to get started here. This week, let me turn to my note page. I have not had a chance to grade your homework yet. I did peek at Bronx's because he got it on there for Google Classroom. So let me look at yours really quick, Caitlin. I saw that you turned it in, but I haven't really been able to read it yet, but I'm just going to glance at it. Because I'm going to look for your key or your dress up words. And yes, I do see your dress up words. So for this assignment, you should have, double check here, 6 dress up words underlined. And then the only thing I can tell right away, Caitlin, is you forgot your topic clincher, or at least you forgot to highlight your topic clincher words. So I'm going to return it to you. Okay, Caitlin. And then after class, you can fix that. Do you remember the rules for the topic clincher?
Yeah.
Okay. So make sure you either bold those words, 2 or 3 key words. Make sure you either bold them or highlight them from the first and the last sentences. But you got your dress ups in there, so that was good. And then, oh, I forgot to tell you something, Bronx. This is super cool. And I'll show it to you too, Caitlin. I think I've showed you guys before. Let me get Bronx's up here again one more time. And then I'll share with you, because this is going to help you with those banned words. Now that you're using Google Classroom, Bronx, you see up here this toolbar in blue. Well, there's more than that. If you click this down arrow at the end of that blue bar, it opens up even more tools right here. And if you go to view, hold on, just kidding. Go to tools. And if you go down to, where is it? Hold on, let me just look really quick because I'm trying to remember where it's at. I totally forgot how to search here. We don't want insert. Here it is, under edit. Sorry, forget all the other stuff I just said. So under edit, if you find and replace right here, you can actually look for your banned words. For instance, say said. I'm just going to pick said. If I type in said, it says 0 out of 0. That's good. That means you did not use the word said. So I'm going to backspace till that's gone. I'm going to look for saw, S-A-W, 0 out of 0. That's good. That means you did not use that word. Thought. Good. 0 out of 0. Didn't use that word. Ate, or let's try went. Oh, you didn't use that one either. Very good. And then good or bad. Let's try good. Oops. Not goof. Good. No, you didn't use that. Bad. Very good, Chase. So here, for example, if you did by accident, let's say I see the word dinner. Let's pretend just for a second dinner was a banned word. 1 of 2 means you use dinner twice. So it highlights it in green. So if you check for your banned words and you find one, then that's how you know where they're at. You don't have to change it. Although I do see you use dinner twice in a row. So you might want to change one to supper or a meal or something like that, but you can fix that later. But anyway, I wanted to show you how to look for your banned words just in case you accidentally used one. That would highlight it for you so you can fix it. Do you guys have any questions about that? Okay. All right. And I will grade those hopefully before the end of the week. I'll get to that. So we are going to move on now to a new part of inventive writing, because that's what you guys were working on this last time. Inventive writing is like when you come up with information in your head, not from research on the internet or anything, but you come up with it in your head. We're going to do more of that for this next lesson. So let's start by taking some notes. So go ahead and get out some clean lined paper, and we'll start by taking some notes. Okay, let's go ahead and label your paper like you usually do with your name here. Today's date is June 20th, 2023. This is going to be class notes. And underneath that, we're still talking about inventive writing. So let's put that here, inventive writing. And then I'm going to have you just put part 2, because we did take notes on this last week. So I'll just call this part 2. Inventive is like, remember I gave you the example of if you are into Legos or you used to be into Legos, you know, it depends on the pieces that you have. It kind of dictates what you can build, right? So if you don't have any of the special pieces of Legos, your project is probably going to be pretty plain, because, you know, back in the day, we only had plain pieces, just, you know, rectangle, square shapes and stuff like that. But now you get all these super cool special pieces. You can really go crazy with your imagination, but you can't build something super cool if you don't have the pieces. So inventive writing is kind of the same way. Now your pieces to your writing are in your head. Like I know, Caitlin, you wrote about cheer. Bronx wrote about BMX bike competitions and stuff. So those are two things that you know a lot about. So if you relate it to Legos, you could say Bronx has a lot of BMX pieces and Caitlin has a lot of cheer pieces in her brain. So you got to have it in your brain before you can actually write about it. So this is more about that. Instead of writing about any subject, you're actually going to be writing about a place this time. So you can be thinking about that as we go here. So when you write a report or a research type paper, who remembers what is the first thing you need to know when you're writing any kind of research or report? What is the first thing you need to get started? Do you know what it is, Bronx? Go ahead.
So what are, I didn't hear that first part. Like,
Oh, that's okay.
so
Basically, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I keep cutting you off.
Can you repeat that real quick?
Yeah. So I'll just tell you, because maybe I'll refresh your memory, but the first thing you need when you write a paper is the subject. So go ahead and write that down. So the subject is that big thing you're talking about. We've done that a bunch in this class. So you have to have a subject. You have to know what is it you're writing about. And once you have that subject, then there's another step after that. You make a list of possible, do you know what that word is? Possible
Ideas.
Or the word I'm looking for is topics. So number 2 would be list possible topics. So those are the 2 main words I need you to get in your head. The subject is what the main thing is that you're writing about. And then listing the possible topics are the information about that thing. So for instance, I've given this example before, but volcanoes. Okay, let's say your subject is volcanoes. Possible topics could be like lava or ash, or how it affects the community, how it affects animals, how it affects plants and trees and all of that. Those would be different topics about volcanoes. So these are important steps to remember when you're given an assignment to write a paper, research or a report or some kind of paper, that is those are the first steps here that you need to include. Did I record this? I got to make sure. Did I hit record yet? I did. Okay. Whew. For a second, I couldn't remember. Okay. All right. Then after you have your list of topics, then the third step is to choose 3 topics. Now that's what we've been working on in this class. Is 3 topics is usually what we've been doing, meaning 3 paragraphs, right? That would dictate how many topics you need, is how many paragraphs you're writing about. Now, when you did your big research paper in the spring, I only had you write about 2 topics. So that meant you only had 2 paragraphs about a famous person. Remember when you guys did that? But this time we're going to choose 3 topics because you're going to have 3 main paragraphs. Now there's going to be more than that, because when you write a traditional research paper or report, you also have an introduction paragraph and a conclusion paragraph. So your 3 topics are the body of your paper. So when you're adding an introduction and a conclusion, that would make the length, and I'm just going to put a note here, length is 5 paragraphs. And that's our goal now. Caitlin, are you still there, or are you just off the camera? Okay, if you could tilt it down so I could see that you're there. Okay, so your length is 5 paragraphs now, and we're going to talk about how we're going to include that. And then your information that you're choosing with your topics, you want to make sure that it's interesting. And I just want you to put interesting. These are the facts that you're going to include in your paragraphs, things that are interesting and related to the subject and to each topic. So the facts that you have, and fun. And I'm just going to have you draw a little arrow over here just so it makes sense. These are the facts about the topic, which is about the subject. So you have the subject. I just want you to circle it so you can see it. Subject, topics, facts. Think of it like a pyramid. At the top of the pyramid, you have your subject. What is this thing about? What are you writing about? And then your topics come down, and you have, those are your paragraphs. And then your facts are supporting, those are the sentences inside your paragraphs. Okay, that's how it goes. Subject, topics, facts. And then from your outline, you're going to make an outline of your topics. So you're going to choose your 3 based on these things, but then you're going to start writing your outline of the topics. So you're going to write outline. That's your keyword outline. So KWO for each topic. Okay, from there, that's when you start writing your topic paragraphs. So number 5 is going to be write topic paragraphs. I'm going to walk you through this so you know what to do here. Then these are the next 2 steps that you haven't done yet. Number 6, you're going to write conclusion. And then number 7, and I'll slow down here in a second, you're going to write introduction. I'll give you a second to write that down. And you might be thinking as you're writing this down, why is the introduction the very last thing we do? And if you're thinking that, that's an excellent question, because normally when we used to write essays or we would write papers, we always started with the introduction. I know I always did when I started a paper. I started with the introduction. Well, in this class, this is going to make sense to you because the introduction, after you write the body of the paragraph or the essay, after you get all those facts and topics and you got your body, you got the meat of the essay, and then you write your conclusion because you've got all the good stuff in the middle, and then you're like, I'm going to wrap this up. Now you got the whole thing in your head. It'll be easy to go back to the beginning and write an introduction. It's actually easier to write this way. So this is the order of how you're going to write an essay. Starting with, you have to know what your subject is. Your subject today is a place that you know about in your head, a place that you know about. I'm going to help you explore some ideas in a second. And then listing those topics. Those are things about the subject. And then the facts, you're going to list those about the topic. More details. And then you're going to write your keyword outline, and then your paragraphs, your middle paragraphs, the body, then the conclusion and the introduction. Okay, that's an overview of the steps of how to write research. It works for everything, actually. Essays, which are usually pretty short, that's more of what we're writing now. It works for research papers, and it works for reports. So let's say you go to a high school class and your teacher wants you to write an 8-paragraph essay. 8 paragraphs. If you subtract the introduction and the conclusion, that leaves 6 paragraphs, right? So the middle is going to be 6. And then you've got your introduction, your paragraph, or your conclusion, that makes 8 altogether. So knowing that, you're going to need to come up with 6 topics. Now, you'll be thankful for my class now because I'm only making you do 3 instead of 6, but I'm just saying in the future. If you have 6 topics, that means you need to come up with 6 things about the subject. And then about those 6 things, you're going to come up with facts that give more detail. So I hope I get that in your head. That's how you decide how many you need. If you go to college and they go, write a 6,000 word essay or a 6,000 word research paper on quantum physics. I don't even know what that is, but I've heard it before, so it sounds complicated. That's all I know. Anyway, so if you get that assignment, then you really need to break that down, because a lot of times professors in college will give you a word count. And that's where you're going to have to figure out how many words are typically in a paragraph, because once you know how many paragraphs you need, that'll tell you how many topics you need about quantum physics, right? So if it's like 15, you're going to have to do some research and come up with 15 different topics. And then in each of those paragraphs, you'll give more details about those topics. So that's how you do it. Okay, for my class, the total is 5 paragraphs now, and you only need 3 topics. That's in the middle, that's the body. Okay. So now that we got that down, I want you to skip a couple lines. This is where you're going to write your own list. So I want you to put the word places, because you're going to think of places you know. And right off the bat, because I've heard Bronx talk about it a few times, is the cabin that you guys go to, your family cabin. Is it in Bass Lake? Is that where it is? I forget where it's at. Shaver Lake?
It's not. It's just a mini lake. It's in Johnsondale in the mountains.
Johnsonville? Okay.
And so, like, once you pass Kern River, the Kern River, or whatever
Kernville?
the
Is it
town is.
Kernville? Okay.
Kernville, yeah.
Yeah.
You go past Kernville, and
Past Johnsondale.
past Johnsondale, and then
Ah.
and then after going all the way up this mountain, then you're there.
So you could put family cabin for a place that you know about. I'm going to make my own list and I'm going to walk you through how I'm coming up with this in my own head. And it can be a master list of all the places you know something about. So Caitlin, I know you've traveled a lot for cheer. So you can include some of those places you've been to, but I'm going to put Tehachapi. You don't have to write this because maybe you don't know much about Tehachapi, but that's where I live. So you can put your town, whatever city you live in. I know a little bit about San Simeon because that's our favorite camping spot in California on the beach. I've also been to France before, so I'm going to list that. Yes, I've been to Disneyland and I can tell you about Disneyland. And so I'm just modeling for you how I'm thinking through this. So you guys make your own list. It does not need to copy mine. I do know about airports because I've flown a few times. I know that Caitlin's flown a bunch. So you could use airports as a place you know about. I also know, and this is kind of funny, but this is a place I know about my closet in my bedroom. Right now, I will confess it's a little messy in there, but sometimes I have a bee in my bonnet and I just decide I'm going to clean my closet because I can't stand it anymore. Everything got moved and changed. So I like it when it's clean. So sometimes I'll go in there. I know about my closet. I know what's in there. I know where everything is for the most part. I also know about our tack room. That is a room that I have on our farm. And it has a lot of super cool supplies in there for horses. Things like what you would need to ride a horse. That's what tack means. But it also has the different foods, or feed is how you say it, on the farm. I have pig feed, I have goat feed, I have chicken feed, I have horse feed, and we have hay in there, we have straw in there, we have shavings in there. So it's basically a room for everything that you need for your farm. So I could tell you about that. If you know of a place in a movie, you can put that. Maybe you've never been there, but maybe you're it's a good movie. Maybe trying to think off the top of my head, a movie, like a series. I'm thinking of like Chronicles of Narnia, if you've ever seen those movies before. Narnia, if you like those movies and you've seen them a bunch of times, maybe you know about the place Narnia. I'm going to put it on mine. Or if you're a Avatar fan, maybe I don't even remember the place that they live, but if you have a movie or you know a lot about a movie at a setting in a movie or a book, you can list that. Okay, you get the idea. I'm going to give you another minute or so to finish your list. You should have probably about 8 or so. If you have at least 8 places listed, give me a thumbs up. Okay, if not, that's okay. I'll give you a little bit more time. Could be your grandma's house. Could put grandma's house on here. Or maybe a friend's house that you've been to. So you get the idea. The place could be a city, a country, a theme park, any place that you know it something about. Okay. If you think of more as we're talking, it's okay to add that. I'm going to keep going though. So now I have a good size list for me. I'm going to choose 3. Now these are your possible topics. Okay, I'm not topics. These are your possible subjects. And I'm going to pick 3. I'm going to narrow it down. And the way I'm going to choose is I'm going to think about the places that I know the most about. I'm going to circle the ones that I know the most about. So I would say I know the most about Tehachapi. I know the most about the TAC room. And I know Disneyland pretty good. I haven't been in a while, but I've been a bunch over the years. So for me, I'm going to just circle those 3. So just take a minute and pick 3 out of your list that you feel like you know the most about. Could be even your bedroom. You can put that on there, your bedroom. So you're thinking about, because the more you know about these places, the easier it's going to be for you to come up with topics and facts about the place. So for me, I'm going to narrow it down to Tehachapi. I'm going to put a little star by it. So try to pick one out of the 3 that you circled that could be really easy for you to talk about, write about, that you just know, you know a lot about. Even though I've only lived in Tehachapi for about 4 years, of course I live here. So every time I go into town, I know where things are. I know what to do up here. I know the fun things to do up here and all that. So now from here, did you narrow it down to one that you picked in your list? Give me a thumbs up if you did. Okay, good. I see that, Bronx. Caitlin, did you narrow it down to one? Okay, good. From there, I want you to draw a little arrow over. Now, this becomes your subject. In fact, let's put subject up here. That becomes your subject. So now we can put a check mark by subject. That's the first step. You got to figure out, what is your subject? Okay, my subject is Tehachapi. What is your subject, Bronx? Which one did you pick?
Inyo Kern.
Inyo Kern. Perfect. I love it. I've been there only once. So I'm glad you know about it. Caitlin, what is your subject that you picked?
I picked Orlando.
Orlando, Florida. Sweet. Okay. So now we're going to start looking for topics. So this is where we're going to list possible topics. For me, I'm going to give you an example, but you guys think of what you know about Inyo Kern. I just threw my pen. Hold on a second. Actually, it just leaped out of my hand. I didn't even do that. Okay. So anyway, think about what you know about these places. So like for Tehachapi, I know places to go hiking. And we have a lake here too. And by the way, they stock this lake once a year with a bunch of different fish. So it's pretty cool. You could practice there. It's not like a natural lake though. It's a man-made lake, but still it's pretty cool. There's some shopping here. We have a famous German bakery. Everybody talks about that. We have windmills. You can actually hike up to them. They're amazing. They're just so ginormous that it kind of takes your breath away when you get up to it and you look up at it. Yeah, huge. We have a train museum here. Really interesting. You know, this is a big pass through for locomotives up here. So it's a big deal in Tehachapi, the trains. We have a rodeo, super fun rodeo that I go to all the time. And then we have a bowling alley. Okay, so you get the idea. Think about the subject you chose and then start making a side list here. These, and I want you to label these possible topics. Possible topics over here. So I'm going to give you a minute to think of what you know, like for Caitlin, you're going to think of Orlando, Florida. What do you know about Orlando? And make your list of possible topics. And Bronx is going to think about Inyokern. Think about what you know about Inyokern. And it's okay if you change your mind, if you're like, oh man, I thought I knew more about that than I did. So maybe I should write about Disneyland instead or something like that. You can switch your topic. It's not like it's set in stone. I mean, switch your subject if you need to. Do you have at least 5 or 6 possible topics? Give me a thumbs up if you have at least 5 or 6 possible topics. Okay, good. Yay. Okay. And like I said earlier, if you come up with more, you can just keep adding to that list. But I'm going to keep going for the sake of time. So now from here, you can look at the top here, list possible topics. We did that. Check. Number 2. Now we're on to number 3. Choose 3 topics. And the way to choose them, we know we need 5 paragraphs. So I need 3 topics. I'm looking for things that I know interesting, related, and fun, keeping those in mind about what topics I want to choose. I think for me, I'm going to choose hiking. I really enjoy hiking, and there's some really great spots to hike up here. So I'm going to pick that one. The German bakery, it's so yummy, and I know pretty much everything they sell. And I know the people that work there. So, and I always go there with my friends or my family, or, you know, it's kind of expensive. I will tell you that if you come up to Tehachapi, but it's totally worth it. Okay. It's like, you're going to get your money's worth. They make big sandwiches and soups and stuff. So it's making me hungry right now, but I want to go there. Okay. So anyway, German bakery. And then I think I'm also going to circle rodeo, because that's one of my other favorite things to do up here. So go ahead and look at, as you're choosing, think of what you think other people might be interested in learning about too. So keep that in mind, something that's interesting and fun that you think about your possible topics. And once you select 3, give me a thumbs up. Okay. I saw that. Good. Okay, Bronx. I know I mentioned this before, but let's say after class, you sit down on a Thursday and you're like, okay, I got to do my writing homework. And let's pretend for a second you think of something even better to write about. It's okay to add it to your list and start over with this. So if you get inspired in the meantime, go ahead and change it up. But this is the process. Okay, Caitlin, did you come up with 3 topics? Okay, good. Now we can put a check by number 3. We chose our 3 topics. Now comes the exciting part. Number 4, write and outline your keyword outline for each topic. So I'm going to show you how to set up a new outline. This is going to be a little bit different than what you're used to. So let's get a clean sheet of paper out. We're going to need to have lots of space here. So right, back out of this a little bit. You know what to do here. For your outline, I'm going to have you write your subject here. My subject is Tehachapi. You each have a different subject. Under that, let's just put KWO for keyword outline. All right. So don't worry, this is more doable than you think it is, but we are going to do 5 different Roman numerals for a 5-paragraph essay. So your paragraphs are going to go like this. You're going to put a Roman numeral 1, go ahead and skip a line. Roman numeral 1 here. And then you're going to put 1, 2, 3. Skip a line. We're just setting this up, and then I'm going to explain how to do this. Okay, so skip a line, Roman numeral 2. This one's going to have 4. And then you probably guessed it, clincher right here. Now you're going to notice Roman numeral 1 does not have clincher. There's a reason for that, but I'll come back to that. Just copy what I have so far for your outline. Skip a line, Roman numeral 3, 1 to 4, clincher. And now we're going to move on to Roman numeral 4. So if you don't know that one yet, it's a 1 and a V. That means 4 in Roman numerals. You're going to go ahead and write 1, 2, 3, 4 and clincher. And then on the back, you're going to do Roman numeral 5, which is just a V. That means 5. And then you're going to do just 1, 2, 3, and no clincher on that one. Okay. Back to the front page. And notice, and I told you this earlier, these 3 right here in the middle, Roman numeral 2, 3, and 4, these are your topics. So just in the margin, I want you to put topic, topic, topic. And that's just for Roman numerals 2, 3, and 4. You're not going to write it here for number 1 because that is your introduction. Okay, so let's talk about your 3 topics first. Okay, remember that's the next part. We're working on writing the outline, the keyword outline for each topic. So we're going to start there with the topics. For me, I circled hiking, German bakery, and rodeo. For you, it's different. So you put what you have for your topics. So my first one was hiking. My next one was German bakery. My last one was rodeo. You put yours there. And you can change it later if you come up with something better. It's okay to change it later. The rules are still the same with the keyword outline. 3 words, numbers, symbols, abbreviations are all still free. If you use those, that's fine. Just don't use too many. But you want to try to really challenge your brain to keep it down to 3 words. And so you can start working on just these topic ones. I'm just going to add a couple of words to kind of give an overview of what these topics are. Like for hiking, I'm going to choose the word mountain and views. And you can fill yours in if you think of them now, or you can fill them in later. I'm going to put delicious. I already have German bakery, so I'm just going to put delicious. Rodeo, I'm just going to use the word 4th of July is actually probably the biggest rodeo we have up here. And exciting. So adding just kind of a couple extra words here. So you have your 3 words. I know I have 4th of July, technically of in July, but since it's a holiday, I'm going to count that as 1, 4th of July, which is coming up. So if you guys are looking for something fun to do for 4th of July, you can always come up here, go to the rodeo. We have fireworks too. Okay, I'll give you a minute to fill that in. Okay, now, I'm not going to have you check this off yet, but basically what you would do next is finish writing in the outline for each topic. And do you guys remember, either one of you remember, what do you do? What's the process of coming up with facts about our topics? Do you know what the process is? If it's in our own head, how do we access that from our head? Remember?
Who, what, who, what, where, who, what, when, where, and how.
Yes, that's a good start. That's almost all of them. So let's put, I think we should do this way over here in the margin on the right. Let's just list those questions. You're right. That was a good start. So we have who, what, when, where, why, how. Those are called the big six questions. Now that's true. I told you this before. In everything in life, when you're thinking, it could be about anything, literally. These are how you access thoughts in your head. This is how you think. You see smoke in the distance. Rather than just seeing smoke and going, I'm just going to go on with my day, you go, where is that? How did that start? What is happening? And where are the fire trucks or whatever? You know, all of a sudden you're asking yourself inside your head these questions. This is how you think. Ask yourself these questions. This is the big six. There's other questions. I'm going to just draw a little line here that you can ask yourself to access other types of information. The 5 senses. You guys remember what the 5 senses are? There's 5 senses.
I think it's see, hear, touch, taste.
Yes, good. See, hear, touch, taste, smell. I think that was the only one you forgot. But this is how you can write this. What do you see, smell, hear, feel, taste? Now, obviously, if I'm writing about this topic about hiking in the mountains, I'm probably not going to be tasting anything, even though it might be tempting to taste a berry that I see, but don't do it, okay? Because wild berries are dangerous. But if I'm talking about the German bakery, that's a perfect place to write about what I taste, what I smell. Those all are engaging all of our senses when we're around food, right? For the rodeo, same thing. They sell tri-tip sandwiches there. Here I go again. Yeah, the tri-tip sandwiches are excellent. And then they have salsas and barbecue sauce. And oh my gosh, I'm totally drooling on myself. Okay. Literally, I'm swallowing. Okay. So yes, if you're talking about food, you're engaging those senses. But here you can engage the sense of what you see. So when you're writing about like Orlando, Florida, you're gonna write about what you see and how you feel. I know it's pretty hot there in the summertime, so it might be humid. sticky. Those are words you can use to describe, you know, a little more detail about one of your topics about Orlando. Or Inyokern, I know that's in the middle of the desert, so you can see desert type plants and rocks and formations and maybe hills in the distance and things like that. Okay, there's one more set of questions that you can use to help you come up with your facts about these different things. Go ahead and write the word best. What is best about this place? What is the worst about this place? Are there any problems there about living there? Or maybe there's, I know in Orlando, I think they have different kinds of bugs than we have because it's humid there. So maybe problems. What is the value of living there? Like maybe it's maybe in Inyokern, the housing is cheaper than other places. And then the significance. Significance for living there, or being there. Not necessarily living there, but just about the place in general. So here you go. You got your great questions on the sidebar here that you can use to help you fill in the rest of your outline for your topics. Now, after you get that done, and I'm going to help you to know what to fill in for your introduction and conclusion, but let's flip over to the back to the conclusion part. This is Roman numeral 5. Go ahead and write the word conclusion here. Obviously, you're not going to use that word. This is just labeling what this Roman numeral is for. So when you write your conclusion, you're going to be thinking of these things to write about. For number 1, you're going to restate your 3 topics. So for me, I'm going to talk about hiking, German bakery, and rodeo. But you'll put your 3 topics there. For this one, number 2, I want you to put this in all caps, most. Most, and then squeeze in that word significant. Circle that word most. And the reason why I want you to circle it and put it in all caps is because you must use the word most in your conclusion. Now, your conclusion only needs to be about 4 sentences long. Okay. 3 or 4 really, but you must include the most significant thing about this. Like for me, for hiking, the most significant has got to be the views, because there's this place in Tehachapi Mountain Park. It's a long hike. It's a very steep hike. But when you get to the top, you can actually see Arvin, you can see Bakersfield, you can see Gorman, which is part of LA toward on the Grapevine. And you can see the windmills over by Willow Springs. I mean, it's incredible. It's like the top of the highest mountain that we have here in Tehachapi, and it's got a 360 view. That is incredible. That's probably the most significant about hiking, but you want to focus on the most significant thing. Actually, that a better way to say that would be about your subject. So the most significant thing about Tehachapi, I would say in general, is just the experience of being here in the fresh air and, just being away in the mountains and seeing the views and enjoying the food and being part of the rodeo. So you want to think about the most significant thing out of all these things. I would probably say the view. because I'll mention it when I talk about hiking. But I would say the most significant experience in Tehachapi is experiencing the views from the tops of the mountain, different mountains up here. Okay, so you get that idea. You want to use the word most, and then, and why? Why is that the most significant thing about Tehachapi? Because you get to escape the city. You get to escape the hustle and bustle of the traffic and the people and, you know, the busyness. If you go on that hike to the top of that mountain, your cell phone doesn't work up there. So you get away from all the stress of just the technology in life. And, you know, some people don't want to do that for long because they need to have that technology and they like the hustle and bustle. But to me, that is the most significant thing about Tehachapi, is getting away and experiencing these views. And then that, because you can get away from the stress for a little bit. Okay, so in your conclusion, you're going to include these things as you're writing your conclusion paragraph. And then let's go back, because I know we're quickly running out of time, to the introduction here. The introduction, go ahead and write that word here. The first thing you're going to do in an introduction is an attention getter. How are you going to grab the reader's attention? Well, here's a couple of ideas. So just next to attention getter, draw an arrow over here so we can make a short list over here. You can ask a question like, have you ever thought about living in Tehachapi? Or have you ever wondered what it's like in Tehachapi? Or let's see. Why do some people call Inyokern a wide spot in the road? I don't know, I'm making something up, but so be thinking of a possible question you can ask as an attention getter. It could be a short sentence, like a hint about something, like snakes. Let me think for a second. Snakes are under the rocks. Short sentence, a little hint about Tehachapi. You probably will come across a snake or two on that hike to the top of the mountain, especially in the summertime. Something like that, where you just give a short sentence and it gives a hint about something that you're going to talk about. Okay. It could be that you have something in the middle, like, I couldn't wait to take a bite of the macaroon. You could start your introduction like that. Like in the middle, I'm going to talk about the German bakery. And usually after I have a sandwich or soup or whatever, I have a cookie because their cookies are bomb. But anyway, you could start your whole essay with something random in the middle like that, where the reader's like, what? Macaroon? I thought we were talking about Tehachapi. What is that about? Okay, to grab the reader to go, I want to read more about that. You could give a warning, like, watch out for mosquitoes in Orlando, or watch out for oversized mosquitoes. Watch out for, ooh, they have hurricanes there, don't they? In Florida. Watch out for hurricanes or something like that. Okay, you could give a warning or an interesting fact or a feeling. Okay, I know we're out of time. I'm going over a little bit. I'm going to review this again with you next week. But I want you to fill in for number 2. I want you to put background info, which is short for information. So background info. And then you're going to state 3 topics. All right. We got the bare bones of this going. So for your homework, I'm just going to have you fill in Roman numeral 2, Roman numeral 3, and Roman numeral 4. I do want you to write those 3 paragraphs as well. Do not write the introduction or the conclusion yet. We're going to focus on that next week. Just finish your outline for 2, 3, and 4 for your subject and topics. And then write those 3 paragraphs. Now, I know Bronx is using Google Docs, and I think you do too, Caitlin. So it'll be easy to go back and put in your introduction and conclusion later. So just focus on those 3 main body paragraphs. And then next week, we're going to go into how to incorporate the introduction and conclusion. So finish writing these from your own head, asking these questions right here. Fill in your keywords for each topic. You can change it if you feel like you have something better to write about. But come to class next week with your 3 paragraphs, with your outline done here in the middle and your 3 paragraphs, and then we'll go from there. You guys have any questions about what to do this week? Nope, you're good. Remember your checklist as you're writing your paragraphs. Oops, just kidding, not that one. I was like, why are there only 2 paragraphs? Wait, you've got more than that. Oh, I didn't even have you guys take that out yet. Whoopsie. So you can find your checklist. We'll look at it in more detail next week, but it is on page 171 in your binder. 171. Eventually, we're going to need those other pages too, but right here, your checklist on 171, you're going to see 5 paragraphs here. You're only focusing on the 3 middle ones for now. And don't forget your sentence openers, topic clincher. Don't worry about introduction and conclusion yet. We're going to focus on that next week. All right, that's it for today, you guys. Have a good one, and I will see you next week. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye.